All right, ladies and gentlemen, General Greene, God bless you all. The elites stage their next phase of attacks against the American people. This is just the beginning. Here, February 12th, 2026, and I am your general. God bless, like, and share. It's been a crazy couple of days. Pam Bondi implodes on Capitol Hill, failing to indict a single Jeffrey Epstein racketeering trafficker. Pretty incredible footage that we all, and I encourage you to watch. This is posted all across X. Not a single Jeffrey Epstein trafficker will be indicted. Now, this also includes the too big to fail banks, of course, like JP Morgan Chase, that allegedly, we have to say that, but we know factually did business with Jeffrey Epstein for decades. Funded, allegedly we have to say, the operation either through gross negligence and or direct knowledge of the crimes actually taking place. Now, this is a big black eye on the Donald Trump administration. We must admit that something needs to be done. You know, if there's one thing that the American people can unify across party lines with complete bipartisanship, Republican and Democrats, it should be to protect the children. So when Pam Bondi tells us to instead focus on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, instead of these heinous crimes, it should raise a very big eyebrow. I encourage you to take a moment, follow me on X at AMTV Media. Do that today. It is imperative to your survival and, more importantly, preparation. Today, we're going to talk about solutions and also the next phase of events, of planned chaos that is planned for you tuning in, how the deep state elite have carefully choreographed not just previous lockdowns, but a complete rewiring of the entire economic, financial, but more importantly, human level, biological, sociological event paradigm that we're now moving into. This includes AI, robots, of course, replacing humans. This includes the technological advancements of blockchain and crypto. What is becoming known as stable coins, with a current war with China and the United States rolling out both of their equivalents as we speak. And in addition to that, just complete financial mismanagement at the highest law of the land. Again, we talked about this yesterday, but we're really at the end stages of an empire where those still walking around scot-free that allegedly have perpetrated all this, of course, all these same politicians, all these same people in power are the ones that caused the $40 trillion debt. They're the ones that have covered up the truth. I mean, keep in mind, they used to say things like Bitcoin and crypto was a scam. Now they're going full frontal assault into it, which should tell you everything that you need to know. And a whole other series of events on our horizon. So today is going to be an incredible broadcast. And I sit before you as an imperfect vessel, but a man of God who loves our King Jesus and will continue to bring the truth every single day as we destroy the evil. And of course, every knee will bow to our King. He's coming back soon, ladies and gentlemen. Can I get a hallelujah? So let's take a look at what's in the news today. Most notably, Donald Trump comes on camera. And if to be believed, he's going to allow another 30 days, about a month or so, he says, of Iranian negotiations. Now, this comes on the heels of Benjamin Netanyahu, our very close ally, otherwise known as King Bibi, visiting the United States, which has made people wonder, will the attack happen now? Is Donald Trump bluffing? in the Sun Tzu art of war? Does he prefer an apprentice golden age art of the deal style resolution to the Iranian conflict? Or will the USS Abraham Lincoln, along with American and Israeli forces, light up Iran into a giant nuclear fallout mushroom cloud? Again, please like and share. I want to hear from you today. We have incredible opportunities in front of us, and these are just a few of the dramatic bullet points that I actually went over on formerly Twitter, on X, just moments ago. Let's get to these, and I have a few questions for you too. It's also been announced by Elon Musk that he will imminently be launching his new X payment platform system. This should also raise an eyebrow because, of course, this man who single-handedly controls vertical and horizontal arguable monopolies on multiple industries that include the space war, satellites in your sky. Now we've pivoted, he has, from Mars to now moon colonization, in addition to microchip brain chips that are being installed in humans' brains to connect them to the artificial intelligence, of course, and now a payment network system of which it's possible you will not be able to buy or sell without it. What could possibly go wrong as one man who likes to dress up in devil satanic costumes on Halloween, who is also building disproportionately more Terminator 2 style robots to fill the American streets? A panopticon that has been, of course, installed by the deep state, removing all of your human rights, removing your Constitution and the rule of law. Things like the Fourth Amendment that cite that there should be no illegal search and seizure. And a vast surveillance state that has also been announced by companies like Ring cameras that are being used now and tracking and data mining and giving all that information to your neighbors and the authorities as millions of Americans are rounded up as the borders are closed with ICE. And that's just a few of the amazing developments breaking right now, hard-hitting and in your freaking face, ladies and gentlemen. February 12th, 2026. I remind you, not a single Epstein trafficker has been indicted. Even Bill Gates' ex-wife says, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, that there should be hell to pay for her husband. And we don't have to go into all of the dirty details. But I also want you to keep in mind that these oligarchs and elites have done nothing to stop or pay back the U.S. debt. They have spent more money than God. $4 to $5 trillion added in the big, beautiful bill. They've done approximately zero to end world hunger, protect the children, eliminate poverty, a huge disproportionate wealth gap from rich and poor. They have not cured cancer or even Jeff Bezos's male pattern baldness. But instead of focusing on what's here on this planet and on Earth, all taxpayer funding and subsidies, along with DoD deep state Pentagon contracts, will be used for the alleged colonies on the moon. If there is not a gross mismanagement of resources here, I don't know what else to tell you. And I believe these people, cloaked in darkness, are secretly weaponizing your country in a dramatic overthrow of the nation state and building a police panopticon prison of which the Illuminati always intended. Folks, there is not a better time to organize than right now with fellow like-minded, faith-first, God-first, fearing Christians like you tuning in. There's not a better time to organize with badasses like Papa John, the Senor of Diamond Nuts, and yours truly here at the digital Noah's Ark. Also, in very concerning news, Michael Saylor, who has been issuing countless boatloads of debt for now years, issuing common stock and common shares and also bonds, which he has securitized to buy more Bitcoin by simply issuing more debt and then more debt and then more debt to buy Bitcoin, had a very curious interview that I believe raised a significant eyebrow, at least mine, earlier yesterday evening. In a dramatic, quavering interview with CNBC host Becky Quick, she asked Michael Saylor what he would do if Strategy, ticker Master, is sent and Bitcoin is sent to $8,000, if he would be able to still borrow on the open markets from the bank to continue his operations. And it was very strange. He again was quivering. His voice was shaky. He responded in a very unfamiliar way. And it begs the question, are we sitting on the next pre-collapse of FTX, Silk Road, the CIA insider deep state rig job that was Sam Bankman-Fried and others, before the final capitulation point and the nail in the coffin, before BlackRock and the rest of the elites like Goldman Sachs send Bitcoin and crypto sky high? Now, I also went over yesterday that the United States will not be moving the US dollar to a gold standard. That's not going to happen here in the United States. I've laid out the details of the exact transitionary period, how they would pump gold and silver prices to the moon, which they've already done. They've already accomplished. They would create more liquidity at Fort Knox and at the banks, and then they would borrow against through net neutral purchases to then purchase Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Solana, and a host of various other cryptocurrencies and technologies, including stablecoins, that they would eventually be moving the American public to. And again, this is only February 12th, 2026, folks. This is just the beginning. And like a train derailment, just almost 2 months in, the American people sit on the edge of a cliff. Now, we must understand that this is all to be expected. In the last moments of a dying empire, right before it ceases to exist and a new one is birthed into the golden age ISO reset, into the new system and the future of money and technology, there is bound to be chaos in the streets. There is bound to be liquidations of debt-ridden firms. There's bound to be financial crises that they caused, capital controls, bank runs, and a complete lack and loss of trust in the system itself, which Americans growing unease that something is gravely wrong, but they just can't put their finger on it. Is this the dark MAGA that you and Elon Musk in his dark MAGA hat had warned about in the previous election cycles? Folks, it's been a strange day. It's been a strange couple of days. It's been a strange couple of years. And some people say metaphysically we moved to a different timeline right after 2019 into the heart and the vein of the crisis that was the world shutdown. Lockdowns and financial reset and bailouts and toilet paper runs flying off the shelves, the weaponization of human minds, the chaos in our streets, and even far worse that occurred in recent years. We go back and hearken back to even the Canadian truckers protesting in the streets for their right to work and put food on the table for their families. And we saw and witnessed the crushing death blow of an authoritarian government and regime end the free public protest of a once free people. People in tears in places like Australia and New Zealand on a police state lockdown for many, many years. And now as we breach into the crescendo of the new technological revolution, as we open up the epic of a new chapter of life and human freedom and dignity, it has become abundantly clear that you and I, and especially you tuning in, are at war. Folks, the impeachment proceedings of Donald John Trump have begun, and the Democratic Party is now on a war path to take out our great president. This will all be occurring in 2026. And with a vengeance, Americans must prepare at all costs, getting their money out of the banks, joining other like minds, building infrastructure and communities like our great members here. And so many other great people tuned in around the world. In fact, I got a lovely text, which I won't name their names, but just amazing people, IP founders. Just sent me a text yesterday that said, Christopher, General, you and Papa John just far outdid yourself in Mauna Kea. This is unbelievable. I can't believe how cool this is. We're going to go live our investment, enjoy ourselves. God bless you. You know who you are. Enjoy yourself. Because it was clear to me years ago when the vision came from God to build the digital Noah's Ark, that the storm was ahead. But the rain hadn't fallen yet, although we had precursor events and predictive programming, just like we had 911 and that event, and just like we had 2020. They were putting out documentaries predicting the exact plan of attack, which is what they're doing now. And we know what the exact plan of the attack is this year. As they reveal alien disclosure, alien reveal, non-human, fake, by the way, alleged intelligent life. As Marco Rubio and others disclose that yes, flying saucers are real, and they are aware of otherworldly, interstellar objects in our sky. I remind you that Avi Loeb, one of the high-ups of Harvard University, I've read many of his books, was the first to question the authenticity of the first interstellar anomalous object ever to enter allegedly our solar system, called the Muamua, discovered, by the way, on the top of the Maui Bu Mountain. There has since been two other discoveries. Borisov's comet, discovered in Crimea, of all places, and also the 3-Eye Atlas that many suspect was probes being sent into this planet, either as a light sail, a relic from another interstellar colony, another life civilization, and should be raising attention like an antenna. But something else must be going on. Why are the elites building bunkers in droves? Why is Elon Musk, the alleged richest human being on the planet, now diverting attention from Mars to building a space moon colony? Why? What do these people know? Why is there such force being implemented to merge human beings biologically with the mark, integrating them into payment infrastructure, biological microchips, and other new technologies that I just speak for myself, I am very wary of and will absolutely not and never be complying to. There are key truths to recognize in this great reset transition into oblivion. One is the death of the US dollar, the collapse of the economy, the increase in an unpayable debt load that will never be paid back, and massive wealth transfer and hyperinflation that we have not seen since the Zimbabwe event, since the Argentine peso collapse, or the Weimar hyperinflating republic that later resulted in World War II. You know, I want to go to you on this, but what do you think should be done? Well, what should Donald Trump do? Should he bring record indictments against the deep state? Should these people face justice? Or will these dirty scumbag rats flee the nest in golden parachutes? What do you think will happen? Again, I'm not the only person bringing this up. We see people bringing this up all across the board, across the aisle, with bipartisan support. For a minute, let's go to the fake news to see what they're putting out to the American public as we speak. It appears that the government is on track for its third consecutive shutdown. You know, this should not sit kindly with you as an American taxpayer at all. This should not sit kindly with you baby boomers, and for you youth, millennials and Gen Zers and Xers, knowing that in all likelihood you will never receive Social Security, that the entire U.S. system has defaulted, is bankrupt, and is literally being flushed down the toilet in a pre-planned inside job for the biggest financial, economic, soon-to-be emergency executive order reset that has ever been declared in the history of the world. In case in point, all the elites were deeply embedded with Jeffrey Epstein. And if they did attend the island, and even if they didn't attend, they thought about it. In fact, we even have emails going back and forth with people like Elon Musk speaking directly to Jeffrey Epstein himself, saying, when's the best time for the, quote, wildest party? What do you think they meant when they were discussing that? Again, and this isn't, I'm not accusing anybody, I'm just saying that in a world of godless demons, those who do not believe and live by their own set of ethic and their own self-concocted, created alternate realities, of which they play God on the American public. As I was speaking with a good friend of mine yesterday, celebrating his birthday, making sure I always call everyone I know and love. Always keep things on my calendar, and I call all my friends and wish them a happy birthday. He says, well, Christopher, why wouldn't those people do that? They don't believe in anything. Why wouldn't they do these horrific acts? Which again presents us with a moral, spiritual question that we must all address. Folks, it is clear that the reset is here. It is clear on what the solution is. It is clear that the government will not, and let me illustrate, will not hold any of these people accountable. But what you can do is powerful. You can change your life. You can join others. Build the new America. You can build the new 1776. We can use new technology to build freedom networks, to build infrastructure, to decentralize ourselves across this beautiful God-given planet. And we can declare our own independence like our founding fathers once did. Again, when a constitution's been thoroughly trampled and violated and spit on, and all of your rights have been removed, and your constitution is crumbled into a ball of flames, it is time for freedom to be refreshed, to be reinstated in a Paul Revere moment. It once was that the redcoats were coming. The redcoats were coming. And today, it is the AI. It is the robots that are coming. It's the great human replacement into slave labor equivalent camps. And that's where we sit. Now, on the economic front, I must say that we do need resolution in Iran. Either Trump strikes and Israel strike, there is full regime change, finalization of the final target, which General Wesley Clark once warned decades ago that following Iraq and Afghanistan and the other Middle Eastern failed wars in Libya and the removal of Muammar Gaddafi, who wanted to get out of central banking systems and build his own Africana currency that was actually backed by gold. We saw what happened to him. Places like Somalia, Yemen, and others, that the final target, that the absolute end game would be Iran into World War III. Now, we did see the plans revealed by the elites. Ivanka Trump's husband planning his mass super development on the Gaza Strip. After laying the entire area to ash, there are massive Dubai-like hotels, commercial infrastructure, and a complete technological smart CITY in development now, which is curious. We've seen this across America, places like Maui and Malibu and the Pacific Palisades. It seems when the greedy government and the deep state, and more importantly, BlackRock and Wall Street, wants to get their hands on something, curiously, everything seems to burn to the ground. Interesting. Now, we've also been in admitted weather warfare over the last several months as we've seen snowstorms. We've seen a freezing of the planet, a cold front. We've had the power go out across the country, and it's now been admitted by the same deep state that yes, the weather is manipulated. Yes, they have technology to spray the skies with vast chemicals from barium to bromide. The list goes on. And yes, they are using all these towers and technologies and satellites floating around your sky for various purposes that they now admit. Now again, this to me has always been the opportunity of a lifetime. This is the moment of 1776. This is the realization of your golden age. Not the government's, not for the elites, but for your declaration of prosperity, freedom, liberty, and independence. So today's video, as we illustrate the darkness and the stark nature of the path ahead, and we look at it from all perspectives, physical, spiritual, economic, and financial, and even morally, we clearly see the quote-unquote roadmap that has been laid out by what many call the Illuminati, the devilish cabal, those that worship Baal. So again, this is your moment to declare your own personal war, to embrace your own humanity, to take advantage of not your own, but God's power, and to exit the system that is hurting you and your families and building a new one of light, hope, justice, love, power, prosperity, and spiritual wealth that I believe has created the possibility of the greatest Christian, God-fearing revival that has ever existed in human history, which will culminate with the return of our King as we are called up in the great event, and we set sail here at the digital Noah's Ark, building the future of money and technology and taking advantage of every single technological innovation and crisis point to protect those we love, and more importantly, do the right thing. It is clear that our politicians have failed us. It is clear that there is no morality at the highest law of the land. It is clear that these people will do whatever they want, and they will walk unpersecuted, unfaltered, unindicted, with zero consequence. Your responsibility is not to them. It is to yourself, God, your fellow man. And if you really want to protect children, you'll exit the criminal system now, today. And you will vote with your wallets, and you will march with your feet. And more importantly, you will pray to our loving God, our beautiful, all-powerful, omniscient Savior. You will join us here at islandproject.com Nation, and you will on board, soon to be announced, Deck 2's imminent launch. We're now under control of over $100 million plus of no bank debt real estate. As the system burns to the ground, as the banks collapse, and the runs that have already started, and as the executive actions all pre-planned for the U.S. stablecoin reset commence, we sit on the tip of the spear to pivot, to leverage, and to profit from the coming events. You, my friends, if you just heard this message, are not only the tip of the spear, but also the resistance. I am your general. God bless you all. Like and share. And arm up, warriors. God is our witness. To God be the glory as we set sail in to the storm. The storm is now.